Good evening and welcome to what I can only describe as the video I should have made 2 weeks ago. It's Boxing Day. You've survived Christmas dinner, you've opened all of your presents, you've had the conversation with your relatives about what you do for a living, and you've nodded politely when your uncle suggested that you get a proper job. And now you're sitting there with your retro handheld, wondering what to play, surrounded by the wreckage of wrapping paper and the lingering smell of turkey and booze and your other half's aging and incontinent mother. Smells that will haunt you and your kitchen until next February. Here's the problem. Most Christmas games are terrible. They are movie tie-ins designed to extract money from confused grandparents. They're reskins, where developers add snow to an existing game and hope that nobody will notice it's the same platformer from July with a Santa hat on. Or they're broken, shipped in November because the deadline mattered more than the quality control, destined to be played once before being traded in for something functional. But scattered across gaming history, there are some Christmas games that actually tried. Games where somebody sat in an office and said, what if we made something good? Games that understood that Christmas isn't just a theme that you paste on, that it's an atmosphere, it's a magic, it's a special feeling of winter evenings and childhood wonder. These games didn't just turn Santa into a sprite and call it festive. Now, I've spent some time loading ROMs onto every handheld I own. I've played Christmas games on the Amiga, the Genesis, the Game Boy Color, the PlayStation. Some were brilliant, some were atmospheric. One was so catastrophically bad that it deserves its own category of failure. But all of them run on hardware from the PS1 era and below, which means they will work perfectly on any retro handheld you've got. So there's no excuse not to try them. What I'm about to share are 5 Christmas games that deserve your attention. Not because they're hidden masterpieces, although one is. Not because they're historically significant, although a couple have changed the way that developers approach seasonal games. But because they actually tried to be good Christmas games. They understood the assignment. And in a genre dominated by lazy cash grabs and contractual obligations, that's worth celebrating. You've got your handheld charged, you've got a few days before normal life resumes, you might as well load something festive onto it and see what Christmas gaming looks like when people actually care. So grab whatever's left of the mince pies. Mince pies are a British thing, and you guys in America, you're really missing out on them. Settle in and prepare for a tour through Christmas gaming that doesn't involve Home Alone or a rapidly melting snowman. Let's start with the game that best answers the question, what if somebody actually made a proper Christmas platformer? And if you've got a Genesis or SNES emulator, then you can have this running in about 3 minutes flat. Days Before Christmas arrived in 1994, developed by Funcom, and it has the distinction of being the definitive Christmas game that almost nobody in America got to play. The setup is straightforward. You're Santa Claus. The time-blind mouse, I can't say this, the time-blind mouse, I keep saying time-blind mice, which is not true. Well, he's kidnapped your elves and they've scattered them across levels that include toy factories and snowy rooftops and locations that look suspiciously like they were designed by people who watch too many Tim Burton films. Your job is to rescue the elves, collect presents, and restore Christmas. Standard platform fare, really, except for one deeply strange mechanic that elevates this game from contemplative and competent to generally memorable. You collect a cup of hot coffee during a level and all of a sudden Santa transforms into Anti-Claus. He turns blue, he grows devil horns, becomes invincible to enemies and starts smashing them with his sack of presents. Environmental hazards will still kill you instantly, but enemies, they don't stand a chance. This is the most bizarrely theatrical power-up I've encountered in a platformer. One moment you're throwing gifts at a snowman, the next you're a demonic Christmas entity dispensing justice with extreme prejudice. The Levels Select screen deserves special mention as it's an advent calendar where you open numbered doors to start levels, which is a really lovely attention to detail, a lovely attention to theme that separates genuine effort from cynical reskinning. The graphics are bright and colourful, featuring large sprites that would have looked impressive in 1994. The controls are tight, the difficulty curve is reasonable, and the whole thing feels like somebody actually cared about making a Christmas game. Unfortunately, it was cancelled in the United States and it never properly released over there. It released in Europe and in Australia, but American audiences never saw it officially. Whatever the reason, Days Before Christmas became the forbidden fruit of seasonal gaming, the one that got away. It's available now through emulation and it holds up remarkably well. If you're looking for something to load up this afternoon whilst avoiding conversation with relatives, this is an excellent choice. It'll run on anything and you can finish it in a couple of sittings before the turkey leftovers run out. Mind you, the turkey leftovers aren't going to run out until June. From forbidden American releases to the European magazine covers, our next game represents a very specific moment in gaming history. And if you've got an Amiga emulator set up, then this is about to become your Boxing Day afternoon. Fire and Ice, the Christmas Special Edition, released in 1992 for the Amiga. And it was free on the cover of Amiga Power magazine, issue number 20. Now let me explain why this is important, because the culture of these Christmas cover discs has been completely lost to time. In the early 90s, before widespread internet access, gaming magazines were how you discovered new titles. And magazines would tape a floppy disk to the front cover containing games and demos and software and exclusive content. It's where I got most of my gaming stuff from in the 90s. Fire and Ice was a full commercial release by Graft Gold, but for Amiga Power's Christmas issue, they created something special. A standalone Christmas demo with unique festive levels that were not found in the main game. You'd buy Amiga Power in December for $3.95 and you'd get this exclusive seasonal content included. This wasn't just the retail game with a Christmas sticker. This was a bespoke promotional demo designed to showcase the game's mechanics whilst celebrating the season. Cool Coyote appeared dressed in a full Santa suit, fighting through levels populated by walking Christmas puddings and hostile baubles. The gameplay involved throwing ice to freeze enemies and then sliding into them to shatter them into pieces. It was fast, colourful, and played like a console-quality platformer despite being developed for home computers. The Christmas special holds up beautifully today. You can emulate it easily on any retro handheld using standard Amiga cores, and it runs without a fuss. The controls are responsive, the difficulty is challenging without being unfair, and the Christmas theming is integrated throughout, rather than pasted on top. This was designed from the ground up as a Christmas experience. It was built specifically to celebrate the season whilst giving you a taste of what the full game actually offered. If you've never experienced Amiga gaming, this is an excellent jumping on point. Load it up, spend an hour with it, and you will understand why European gamers have such fond memories of this era. It's perfect for those post-Christmas moments when you need something engaging but not mentally exhausting. Your brain has already been exhausted by family conversations about house prices. Speaking of perfect timing, let's talk about a game that arrived at the end of an era and yet works absolutely brilliantly on a small screen. This is one to get your brick out for. This one's ideal if you're planning to ignore everybody and play something on your handheld whilst pretending to watch television. Santa Claus Jr. released in 2001 for the Game Boy Color, right at the end of this system's life cycle. By this point, developers had squeezed every possible drop of performance out of Nintendo's handheld, and it shows. The graphics are vibrant and detailed. They feature large, colourful sprites that look almost 16 bits. The premise is simple. An evil witch has cursed the North Pole. Santa is too old to fight back, so a kid named Nick has to save Christmas by platforming through levels, freezing enemies, and collecting items. It's straightforward, accessible, and designed for quick sessions. There's no complex RPG mechanics, there's no confusing maps, there's no grinding, there's just jump, freeze, progress. What makes Santa Claus Jr. worth your time is the sheer competence of it. It isn't groundbreaking, it's not going to do anything revolutionary, but it understands what makes a good handheld Christmas game, and it executes that vision without cutting corners. The controls are tight, the level design is clever, and the difficulty curve ensures that you're always progressing without feeling patronised. The game is fairly easy to emulate on anything because it's a Game Boy Color game. You know, anything that you own is going to play this thing. So load it up, play it for 20 minutes, and you will understand why some games don't need to reinvent the wheel. This is perfect for Boxing Day evening when you're too full to move but too restless just to sit there. You can play it with one hand whilst holding a glass of scotch in the other, and you know what? I have tested that out extensively. Now, before we reach our finale, we need to discuss the game that represents everything wrong with late-era cash grab publishing. Load this one up if you want to feel better about yourself. Santa Claus Saves the Earth released in 2002 for the PlayStation. Not the PlayStation 2, mark you, the original PlayStation in 2002. The PS2 had been out for 2 years by this point. The publisher was Telegames, a company famous for releasing games years after their platform had died. And Santa Claus Saves the Earth might be their masterpiece of misguided timing. The premise makes no sense whatsoever. Santa is trapped in a fairyland that looks like a generic cave system. The platforms appear to be made of bone, the enemies are non-Christmas related creatures wandering around as if they've wandered in from a completely different game. It feels like the developers took an unfinished caveman platformer, deleted the caveman sprite and pasted Santa on top, and then just shipped it before anybody could check. Santa fights by swinging his sack, which sounds vaguely inappropriate when said out loud, but it becomes genuinely uncomfortable when you realise that the hit detection is so poor that you will spend most of the time swinging at nothing, whilst enemies just walk straight through you. This game exists because of those grandmothers who were walking into a shop and saw Santa on the cover and bought it without checking. It represents the absolute nadir of discount bin Christmas gaming. But here's the thing. It's fascinatingly terrible. It is so incompetently made, so bafflingly designed, that it becomes almost compelling in its awfulness. If you've got half an hour to kill and you want to laugh at something truly broken, load this up. Play it for 15 minutes, marvel at how wrong everything is, and then delete it and never think about it again. It's the gaming equivalent of watching a terrible, terrible Christmas film. You do it once, you enjoy how bad it is, you laugh at it with your friends, and then you will move on. Consider it the palate cleanser before our finale. From the depths of budget publishing to the heights of artistic achievement, let's finish with the most magical Christmas game ever created. And if your handheld can handle Saturn emulation, you absolutely must load this up before the festive season ends. Christmas Nights into Dreams released in 1996 for the Sega Saturn. It was given away free with magazine subscriptions. It was bundled with certain games and distributed as Sega's Christmas card to fans. It's technically a promotional disc, but it offers a complete experience that captures the spirit of Christmas better than any full-priced title before or since. You play as knights, a jester flying through Twin Seed City, collecting stars and presents while soaring through a snowy dreamscape. It's not really a game about fighting, it's more about movement, the pure joy of flight, about experiencing winter magic through gameplay. The controls are smooth, the environments are beautiful, and the whole thing feels less like a video game and more like a seasonal celebration translated into interactive form. The soundtrack features a version of Dreams Dreams mixed with Jingle Bells, performed with genuine emotion and artistry. It's the sort of music that elevates the entire experience, transforming what could have been a simple promotional demo into something that is genuinely moving. Here's the thing that makes this game really extraordinary, though. This uses Saturn's internal clock, so if you play this in December, the world is decorated for Christmas. You play this on New Year's Eve, the decorations change to celebrate the new year. The game adapts to when you're playing it, creating this sense that it is alive and responding to the real world. You've got, 6 days to check out this experience in its proper Christmas form before it changes for the new year. Modern handhelds can emulate Saturn quite well now. Although your mileage may vary, you probably need a bit more of a powerful device. But it's worth the effort to get this running, because this is the game that justifies this entire video. If you only load one Christmas game onto your handheld this week, make sure it's this one. Play it tonight. Experience it whilst it's still Christmas. You'll understand why I saved it for last. So there you have it, 5 Christmas games that actually tried to be good Christmas games. You've got the ROMs, you've got the time, and you've got a handheld that can run all of them. There is no reason not to spend the next few days experiencing Christmas gaming done properly. These aren't particularly demanding games. You can finish most of them in an afternoon. They're perfect for those strange days between Christmas and the New Year where time doesn't quite work normally and you're never quite sure what day it is. Load them up, play them through, and see what Christmas gaming looks like when developers actually care. And let me know in the comments which one of these games that you're planning to try, or share your own Christmas gaming memories. I'd be genuinely ecstatic to hear them. And I'd love to hear about obscure Christmas titles that I might have missed in my research as well. So if you enjoyed this exploration of Christmas gaming, consider subscribing or leaving a like. But until next time, thanks ever so much for opening my advent calendar of a video and jumping into my retro corner once more. Happy Christmas.